everyone, and thank you for joining us today. And thank you, Jess, for joining us today. To get started, can you share with our audience who you are, what you do, and your role at the organization?
Sure. So I'm Jess Peluso. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at HR Acuity, and we provide software that helps employers provide a safer, more trusted environment for their employees. So today we currently have over 4 million employees on our software, and we want to make sure that they have a really consistent and confidential experience when things go off track. So when you think about something like having to request an accommodation for a health-related issue, all the way through to being harassed or getting in an argument with your manager, you want to make sure that those issues are dealt confidentially and that you have confidence in the process. And so our software helps ensure that as people go through from the time the issue arises all the way through to making a decision and what aftercare looks like, that they're treated fairly. And so I think a lot of times people think that these things don't happen very often, or when they do get handled, it's a one-off. Mm-hmm. But as we did our benchmark study earlier this year, which covers 250 employers and over 8 million employees globally. Mm-hmm. And so when we did that study, we heard that mental health care is on the rise, and people have seen a 73% increase in mental health care issues in the last few years. And so that's an issue that comes up at work, and it affects the way that people work. And so our software helps work through those issues and processes. And then we also did a study where we saw that harassment actually happens in organizations. 53% of employees have experienced it or witnessed it within their own organization. And so again, our software helps from the time that issue is notified and the HR or the ER or the compliance or the legal team hears about it, all the way through until the issue's been dealt with and the employee has resolution.
Yep. Yeah, it's incredible how often that happens, and it's very, very sad. So it's great that there's a software like yours.
Yeah, and it happens behind closed doors, and people aren't comfortable talking about it. And so we want to make sure that they feel really safe and have a trusted experience as they go through that process.
Exactly. So as you're thinking about running your sales organization and driving growth for the business, what does being future ready mean to you, and what are you doing to be future ready?
Yeah, so I love this question because I've learned so much from my CEO and my Chief Product Officer as we've gone through the journey of building AI within our own tool. And I think the way that we're thinking about it is that it really has to be done thoughtfully and to make sure that it's responsibly built, so that as our customers are using our AI within our software, that they're having a great experience and that it's providing a purpose. As we use AI in our tech stacks, there's things that you feel like, well, they just kind of turned that on because they could, or maybe it's not a great experience, or I didn't really get anything out of using it. And then I think that really turns people off from using AI in the future. And so as I think about using AI in tools, I want to make sure that I'm using AI that was thoughtfully built and has a purpose and makes your experience better.
Yep, absolutely. And as you think about getting the organization ready for this future readiness, at the same time, you need to run the day-to-day of the business. So how do you balance the two, and how do you decide where to prioritize, and really how to prioritize both?
Yeah, that's an ongoing conversation within our sales organization. And I think the way that we've looked at it is that we want to invest in our current vendors that we have existing partnerships with and really understand their philosophy and their roadmap as to what they're planning on building in the future, so that we can help be a part of that. And so sort of in what we're doing day to day is we're open to trying new things, and we want to do beta testing, and we want to help them pilot things and give our feedback so that we're helping be a part of that process and a part of the outcome. When I think about looking forward, I'm really thinking about what's the new AI that's going to come out that I can't even imagine is going to change our lives today. And so we're constantly looking at what are the new technologies that are evolving and can we use them? And I think it's evolving so rapidly that can change week to week and new tools can come up. And so we're just really open to exploring new technologies, but really trying to focus on the partnerships we have in place today.
Yep, makes absolute sense. And when you think about the HR technology landscape, what are some of the biggest challenges that you are tackling that get in the way of the pace of growth that you're held accountable to? And how can AI, and more specifically Sales Navigator, help you?
Yeah, so We're really lucky in that we have a really great product market fit and our customers love us. And so I think when I think about challenges, it's not necessarily because we're in HR tech, it's because we're a sales team, right?
Yep.
And at the end of the day, those challenges, I think, transcend across all industries. And so I'm just constantly looking at time and efficiency, right? How can I get my AEs more time? How can I give a CSM more time in their day? How can I make my SDRs more efficient? And I think that AI, that's kind of the first thing that AI has really been able to do for us. And so, Gong's an excellent example. It came out with transcripts so long ago, and that's just been, it just keeps evolving and changing and growing and getting better. Just to be able to see next steps as soon as you hang up the phone and not have to look through your notes and go back. I mean, it's just a huge time saving. And so we're really looking at all of our vendors to say, how can they provide more time and efficiency? AccountIQ is a great example of a tool that we've used recently because I think every enterprise account executive in the world has had to do an account plan, and it takes forever. And I'm always challenging my account executives that their account plan's never complete. There's always going to be information that's missing and that they need to go find. And now with AccountIQ, they go in and it just summarizes all of that. It basically creates the initial account plan in seconds, right, for you to read. And so when we first saw it, I remember laughing with some of my A's because I was like, all those times I say to you, like, what does the customer do? Like, how do they make money? And they just kind of look at you and it's like, you go figure that out, right? And then we'll talk about them. And now they can literally pull that up and see the strategic insights, all the things that are in the news. They can understand headcount and if the company is growing, mergers and acquisitions. They can look at new contacts and build org charts and understand buying committees. So I think AI is just drastically changing the way we do business, and the challenge is just keeping up with it and making sure that we're leveraging it to the best of our ability.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. Account plans are never done. If you're doing it right, it's a living and breathing document, and so something like AccountIQ that's constantly refreshed with whatever is the latest information that you as a seller need to know, it's fantastic, and it saves a significant amount of time so that you can then actually focus on the relationship building and the selling part of your role.
Yeah.
And when we think about some of the best sellers, the things that we have found that they have in common is that they find the right people to talk to. They build advocacy within the organization. So the buying committees that you were just talking to, we know that that number is growing significantly more than oftentimes we know who the direct buyers are, but there's all these influencers behind the scenes, and how do you find out who they are and find out the things that matter to them? Right. And then lastly, you have to build those connections and you have to foster the connections. And so, I agree. I think those are absolutely the right things.
Yeah, and I think even for SDRs, I think there's a lot of just discussions happening about how SDR teams are having to evolve, especially as AI, right, has entered the landscape, and now you can send mass emails at scale, right? And it's dangerous in a way because I know as a leader, I get so many emails in a day that it's hard to even, read through them. And so essentially that's making it less effective. And so one of the things that we've done over the last few months is evaluate AI bots that can then create the content and send at scale, and looked at how can that enhance our SDR program instead of replacing our SDR program. And the reason for that is that it's so important that they're making phone calls and connecting and reaching out to people on LinkedIn. And so we want them to spend their time doing that and not doing the things like creating the content and hitting send on the email. And so if we can use AI to take some of that away in their day-to-day, then now they have more time to invest in the really impactful activities.
Exactly. So you mentioned that the sales teams within your organization are embracing AI with new features, and you talked about AccountIQ a little bit. Why is that a priority for your organization?
Well, I think, from what we discussed earlier, it's just about having more time and being more efficient. And I think it creates a better customer experience at the end of the day. So I'm a big believer in process and making sure that every customer has the same experience as they go through their journey, from the time they interact with an SDR till when they purchase, through implementation, working with customer success and account management, all the way through to contacting technical support. And the more that we can create a consistent experience, the better we can pivot or change when things aren't working, or when a new technology comes out that we can leverage and make that process better.
How has Sales Navigator evolved your approach to driving growth within your company?
So I mean, Sales Navigator's been around for a while and we've been using it, but I think back to when I started in sales a really long time ago, and I walked in and they gave me the phone book and handed me a phone that I actually had to pick up, right, and dial the number and pick up the phone and put the phone down. And I remember getting a headset being like, this is the most amazing thing ever. I have a headset and I don't have to dial anymore. And every time technology advances a little bit, it makes your job easier. And today, when you look at a tool like Sales Navigator, which really serves everything up, the contacts that they need to reach out to, a way to efficiently understand the buyer and the company and their challenges and their needs and all of those things, I think that's really where the customer gets that experience at the end of the day, because customers today are educated. They do a lot of their research before they ever reach out and talk to a salesperson. And they want to make sure when they talk to that salesperson, they're knowledgeable about the industry and the space and the software and the company and their challenges and how you can solve for that. And I think AEs that aren't taking advantage of the tools, even CSMs and account managers who aren't taking advantage of those tools before they have that first interaction with a customer, are not providing the experience that the customer expects at the end of the day.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Jess. I really, really appreciate the time that we had together. And thank you everyone for joining us. And that's it for today. Thank you.